Welcome, Ilana. Ilana is the founder and CEO of Werq, an executive coaching and strategic leadership advisory firm headquartered here in Austin, Texas, serving clients around the country and abroad. Ilana is passionate about creating alignment experiences for top-level professional teams that combine strategic, systemic, and relational interventions to produce tangible results. Thank you, Ilana, for joining me today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We are now at 4 years into having known one another.
That's true.
And we first started out as a customer.
That's true.
We financed a building for you.
You did.
Yeah, remember that?
I do.
That was that was a long time ago.
I do. When we made that killer decision to buy an office building right before the pandemic hit.
Right.
Awesome decision.
That's exactly what it was. But
Why didn't you advise me?
Oh, it was such a good deal.
It was such a good deal.
Oh, it was so great. You don't have it anymore.
No, we had to sell it.
You got rid of it.
We did.
You didn't need it.
We didn't need it.
Nobody needed office space in 2020. That's great. Well, and then since that time, you've became an investor in our bank, and
Correct.
We've worked with you and a customer and all of those good things. Mm-hmm. Thank you for joining us on the Keystone Bank podcast.
Such a pleasure.
And let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
So what I'd like you to maybe start off with first is share with our audience a little bit about yourself and about Werq and what it is that you do and some of the kinds of the great results that you're getting for your clients.
You got it. And I was smiling and trying not to chuckle into the microphone as you read my bio, which is correct, factually correct. And when we think about these professional bios, they're such a small slice of who we are,
right,
and what the story is and what matters to us. So I'll start with what matters and then go into how we bring that into the world. Who I am. I can't speak about who I am without thinking about my children, especially today. It's Valentine's Day for anyone listening in.
6 and 2, right?
6 and 2, two little ones. So they were all excited about balloons and flowers and candy and cards today.
That's awesome.
But being a mother comes into who I am. I'm a social worker by training. I'll take you back to there. And I went to social work school with this idea of I want to leave it better. I want to look someone in the eye and be able to go, okay, you've got goals, you've got visions. Maybe you're lost from that vision. Can I talk to you in a way? Can I put some models in your path? Can I ask you some questions that help you get one step closer? And I did that as a social worker for about 3 weeks. And then that started to feel really small. So I went into leadership and I was doing that for at first, single and then regional and then national facilities working in behavioral healthcare specifically. And then that started to feel too small. And I went, gosh, how can we leave it better? How can we have just 1 degree higher of impact, that same purpose, but take it 1 degree higher? And that's what led to founding Werq, which, yes, is an executive coaching firm that gets tangible results and blah, blah, blah. But it's about our mission is creating ripples of positive impact by revolutionizing leadership.
So where'd you come up with the name Werq? And it's spelled WERQ for the audience.
It's adorable. I know. I wish that I had a really great story for it.
Oh, come on.
It's really hard to name a business. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you the real story. Okay. I don't want to make it up. The real story is it's really hard to name a business. And I was looking around for all sorts of different things, testing them, seeing what was already taken. And my founding partner, my angel investor, Steve Hicks, he's an amazing person. If you don't know him, you should. He actually made his fortunes in radio. And one day I'm sitting there, and radios have call stations, typically 4 letters, capitalized as a call station. And one day I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the business plan, and I'm looking at the vision, and I'd written down all these different words. And some of the words, not in order, were workplace, engagement, retention, and performance. But I saw them laid out as they were on the page.
You can't name a company Werq.
No, you can't. So I saw them laid out on the page and I went, wait a second, WER. And I switched it and WRQ. And I came to my founding partner who had a history in radio and he said, I love it. And now
so a WKRP moment.
A WKRP moment. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, so tell us some of your clients.
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Yeah.
What kind of clients do you work with?
So we work with CEOs and their teams.
Okay, so
by title.
Do you have any particular industries?
No. If anything, we end up serving the most people in healthcare technology and the intersection of the two.
Okay.
That's by affinity and some expertise, but really more by chance and who we end up meeting.
Interesting.
Turns out leadership is leadership is leadership. Uh-huh. Strategy is strategy is strategy. Mm-hmm. Good cultures make good things happen. Good strategy makes good things possible. So our differentiator is we are working at that senior level, whether it is a publicly traded company, tens of thousands of employees, or a startup with 20 people. We're working at the C-suite level and we're helping them figure out why are we doing what we're doing? Once we know that, we're really clear on our mission, vision, purpose, et cetera, then what do we need to do? Strategy. What are we saying yes to? What are we saying no to? Why is that going to help us, capitalize best in the market? How are we going to do it? So now we've decided we need to do these 7 things really well. How are we actually going to get there? And how are we going to work together to make that all possible?
I always found it fascinating when I've met folks like yourself that do that for companies, and of course I've seen it in in the companies that I've started, but executives and management teams really don't have enough time to do both. It's amazing. You get so ingrained in running the business.
Correct.
That sometimes it's hard to focus without a little bit of coaching and help to focus on the business.
Correct. And we think about it, and it what ends up happening, the reason they're tangible results, we're working with exceptionally effective winners. We're working with people that are already at the top of their game, but we're getting them together, whether it's one-on-one, actually, because we do one-on-one coaching, or more team-oriented work. We're getting them together and unearthing what is really magical in them, turning the degree up, 2 degrees higher, 2 degrees louder, and putting them in a system, in a situation where they can actually align, make an agreement that makes sense, and then follow through on it. So what that looks like, we help businesses get ready for transaction. We help businesses refresh and then execute strategy. We help new teams form. So you're hiring 2 new executives to your team, and all of a sudden it's totally shifted the dynamic and how people work together. We help that team work well together.
How many people do you have in your business?
We have 20.
20 people. Mm-hmm. And you cover soup to nuts, everything that a company needs in order to be able to focus and execute on their strategy and vision.
I could never say soup to nuts, because there's always going to be some need that is, you'd really do better working with a specialist. For example,
recruiting. How do you handle the recruiting aspect?
With partnerships.
Partnerships.
Yeah, we do not do recruiting. SME expertise. So sometimes you really need a consultant to come in that says, we're going to help engineer a process for you to make great decisions with your team. We are not going to go and do market research and say, hey, that in your strategy, you need to pursue M&A. Here's 3 companies that we think you should transact on. That would be outside of scope for us. So we're not soup to nuts, but we are going to be at the foundation of helping them set the conditions, the working experience, the priorities, the way of working together, as well as the overarching sort of ethos of the strategy.
And how long have you been doing this?
Actually, on International Women's Day on March 8th, my female-founded business will turn 5 years old.
Awesome.
I hope you'll come to our panel. We're going to be talking about women in leadership.
Let's go.
Yes, let's
get it done.
Let's do it.
So you've written also out there about the importance of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
How did you discover your passion for that? And how did that translate into executive coaching with your focus?
That's a great question. How I discovered my passion for it was very personal. That's been the key to my own success in many ways, both in terms of facing into mistakes that I've made and my own developmental edges, incling back as
you've made mistakes?
Once or twice.
Oh, okay.
Don't ask my husband about it. He won't know anything. He has nothing to share. So both in terms of just my own resilience, my own ability to navigate. So there's a personal side. There's certainly a well-researched side, which comes from my background as a behavioral health scientist, basically. So really understanding how emotional intelligence plays into our ability to navigate the world, make the next right decision, lean into the challenge, not run from it, et cetera. But then applying that to executives, it is uncanny how much it impacts how successful someone could be. If you think about emotional intelligence, it's like the interplay between what we do and how we influence emotion in us and in others. And if you think about the role of a leader, it is to influence behavior. And if you think about what influences behavior, it's emotion. So it's all this,
it's all tied together.
It's all tied together. Yeah. Yeah. And everybody's either working with it or not. But if you can tune into how you're performing in that capacity, you unleash. Yeah.
So it doesn't mean you're a crybaby if you don't have emotional intelligence.
Well, first of all, no one has or doesn't have it. It's a practice. You, my friend, can get better.
You can get better. That's so great.
I know some people that can help.
So this foundation of emotional intelligence kind of led you to the founding of your current company then?
In some respects, yeah. There was a lot of pieces that led to that. One, just my own ambitions and just loving the challenge and loving to build. My angel investor, when he first contributed the cash, he said, I'm not betting on this plan, I'm betting on you. And what you're going to love more than anything is giving people jobs that they love.
Yeah.
And that's sure true. But from a subject matter perspective, it was actually my experience working with a coach. I hired a coach for something very specific, ended up working with her for 3 years.
Really?
And 3 years later, I couldn't recognize my own life for the better. It was
that's
really
awesome.
Amazing what it unleashed. Yeah.
So I know from my own experience, Ilana, starting a business is very rewarding and can be very, very rewarding.
Yes.
And from my perspective, I assume you share that same.
I love it. It's my third baby.
So how has creating work aided you in creating connection and impact in what you're doing in the world that you operate in.
Yeah, gosh. And I hope that we talk again in 5 or 10 years and we're both talking about how connection and impact, I love the use of those words, how we've only been able to turn it up more through entrepreneurship and through building things. Connection and impact, I'll take them maybe as separate concepts for a moment. I love the ability as an entrepreneur and a business leader to create connections, starting with practicing what we preach within my small but mighty company, creating those connections, helping understand what type of impact every member of the team wants to have, and how does our mission and our vision and even what we're doing on a day-to-day basis help them access that. So there's a strong purpose component internal, let alone what we get to do external, which the companies that we work with are changing the world. I mean, they're doing amazing things. And when we help the leadership team from the very top do those things better, do them more holistically, do them sometimes faster, sometimes more successfully, always better, do them better, the impact that has on their company, on their customers, on their community, it's exponential. So it definitely gets me up in the morning. I don't think that's
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I think of connection and impact also as just the people that we meet, and as we're building these companies, and how we kind of all stay together as we float along through life and to the next experience and the next company and the next community and the next neighborhood and the next business, and
build each other up.
So that's one of my favorite things about building an organization, is just all those interpersonal connections that just stay with you forever if you choose to allow them to.
And if you choose to let them become a little bit more intimate than just a signature on a contract, or I could just be a customer and an investor of yours, but I'm not. I'm here hanging out with my buddy.
That's right. On the Keystone Bank podcast.
Exactly.
So in recent years, leaders have had to navigate challenge after challenge. And I know that that's no different for you, and it's not been any different for me. But how has COVID changed your particular industry and what you do with your company?
You know what, COVID for our industry, as long as you could make the switch to providing what you provided in a primarily, or for a while there, exclusively virtual environment, COVID was great for us as an industry. And I say that because you had everybody sitting home, everybody was scared, nobody knew what to do, and we were all reading all these articles all the time about how leading has never been more important.
Don't you remember? I didn't mean to cut you off, but don't you remember in March? I think it was March of 20.
Yeah.
When, I don't know if you were the same way I was, like when all of us CEOs, we all said, okay, we're going to help, break the curve, or whatever the phrase was at the time. We're going to go home for 2 weeks and flatten the curve.
Flatten the curve.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Oh, how wrong we were.
Oh my goodness. That was amazing.
We were so wrong.
So wrong.
Yeah. So that shifted in a good way. And I actually think in a good way, long-term, for what it means to be a leader. I think it shifted in a good way, people's flexibility and adaptability. So how we treat our workforce, what matters to them and what matters to us as a company, how we sort of work with that dynamic. I think it sort of reduced a layer of separation that people had between the work me and the real me. I'm doing air quotes that no one can see.
You've got video today.
I've got video.
So we're seeing the air quotes.
Is that you?
That's good.
Is that us?
That's right.
Hello, me.
That's right.
At any rate, so I think it reduced that in a good way. So it created more of an authentic, like, I'm just one person and I go to work and I have children and I have a cat that walks across my screen, and I think that it also let people really lean in on what it means to be that leader who creates and inspires a sense of safety, security, not this type of safety and security that would say we don't take risks, we don't innovate. Quite the opposite, the type of safety and security that says we can get through hard times together, we can be resilient, we can create a better path forward. So that was all really good. I think the uncertainty now that I'm hearing and seeing in the market, because the economy is soft and because there's massive layoffs, you can't go a day without seeing one in the news cycle. You've got leaders much more scared now. I actually experienced people to be, on the whole, more confident, even though we were scared personally. And there was we were all in it together, sort of us against the germs. And, there was a real sense of stability within the uncertainty. Now I actually see more of it as the market has softened and people are watching other companies do layoffs and go, well, should I? And do I really need those extra 10% of workers? And I'm seeing more of that now.
Yeah, that's what scares me.
Yeah.
With the rate increases.
Yes.
That we're trying to tamp down inflation, and I understand it, and fiscal and monetary policy. I get all that. And so if we're not careful, we're going to break that employment bubble that you just referred to, which I think we can survive some of the larger companies laying off 10, 20,000. It's when they get to companies like ours, and we're hanging on to the very end because we saw how hard it was to let people go that have been with us for a long time in the COVID downturn. Mm-hmm. And then we saw how hard and expensive it was to hire them back, and we're just hanging on for dear life. Companies of all sizes, medium-sized, small to medium-sized enterprises, and I worry that if we're not careful, that we are that what you say, those leaders that are a little bit concerned right now, that concern comes to reality, and then it becomes a real bloodbath. I don't think it's going to go there, and I'm just praying that it doesn't. I think we're going to see some attrition in the labor force, some need to do some cutting and that kind of thing. But I'm just hoping that businesses like yours don't end up having to let that last 10% go, that they can just hang on. But so I guess I'm going to sort of lead into this a little bit on the other side of COVID. And when you say that you see some concern, is the concern because the CEOs have gotten comfortable with this remote hybrid workforce and now they don't have the same connection and collaboration that they used to? Talk to me a little bit about that and how you see collaboration and connection in leaders and management teams now and where's it headed?
Gosh, so there are leaders who I respect so deeply who are like, listen, my people are getting back to the office because that's how we collaborate and connect, basically. And so that's what we're doing. And I see leaders that I respect very deeply that are saying, you know what? If you think you need your people in the office, you're a dinosaur. And my people are going to be hybrid for forever, and primarily remote, and then everything in between. So my perspective is there is no one right way, but it's really the job of the leader to understand and know your business, understand and know, and actually separate out your personal preferences from what is in the best interest of your business, connect with your people, connect with your customer, understand your strategy and what it's going to require to be successful. It's depending on what type of worker you're hiring and what the sort of barrier to knowledge and institutional knowledge is where you are, there may be real benefits to sitting elbow to elbow, or there may be real benefits to saying, hey, nobody needs to commute ever. You work from the mountaintop in Montana.
What's amazing to me is that in coming into 2020, it was not, COVID and the pandemic was not on my radar screen. And work from home was not anything that was ever in my brain.
Yep. You and half the people.
And I think now almost every business in the country's gotten comfortable with understanding the realities of what that looks like.
Or they haven't.
Well, I guess there are some that haven't.
Or they haven't, but they've at least had to ask the question. It's at least in their brain, and they have a stance on it that is not because, well, we only hire in this city.
What's your stance?
For our company, I'm so lucky. I get to work with, because of the nature of what we do, my people are senior, veteran, amazing executive coaches, primarily former executives themselves. They've been around the block. They know what good looks like. They are amazingly evolved human beings. I just get to sit near them and then draft off of their greatness and become a slightly better version of myself.
But you're not with them every day.
I'm not with them every day, but I say all of that because we were remote before this started, and we will be remote for forever. Yes. Yeah. Yes. And that is completely correct for us. And it caters to the type of worker, again, that we have and the type of work that we're doing. And we do invest, we get ourselves together, just like we do offsites for other companies. We do offsites
do the same thing for yourself.
Oh yeah. We were in Miami 2 weeks ago.
That's nice.
Fabulous.
Neat.
Yeah. I should have missed the ice storm, but I scheduled it 2 weeks too early.
My thinking has evolved as I've gotten experience with it. And what I love about it, the work from home thing, if done right, is it cuts out the commute.
Yes.
And I just love being able to do it for employees.
Oh, yeah.
Cutting out a couple of days a week.
Yep.
I still like the collaboration that can happen impromptu when you're together.
Yep.
So I enjoy both. Some of it is a little bit of necessity for Keystone Bank in that we've grown so fast over our first 4 years of existence. We don't have enough place for everybody.
Yes.
And we're building a new building.
Yep.
But it's not going to be done until September.
Yep.
And so we were just talking about it today. We were like, remember those little school chairs that you had when you're at, that had the little table that was attached to the chair.
The little yellow chair.
The little yellow chair. We think maybe we just put a bunch of those in the bank lobby.
Adorable.
For all these new employees that we're hiring this year.
They'll feel so mature.
They'll feel so mature. That'd be so funny, wouldn't it, if we did that?
Yeah, it would be hilarious. But I mean, really, summary statement on that. It really is a bespoke decision based on what the company, the leader, and the team needs. And so not leaning into it with a a strong predisposition to like, this is right or this is wrong, all that judgment that people bring to this
Yes,
topic in
I don't
particular.
think that there should be that. I don't think we should engage in that.
There's 1,000 ways to great. It's
Yeah.
finding the one that works for you. And then once you've found it, communicating it thoughtfully and implementing that policy, whatever you choose. Thoughtfully.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Isn't
Be
it's
thoughtful.
How easy is that?
It should be, but
It's not. We all know it's not.
Yeah,
It's not that
unfortunately.
simple.
Not
Hold
that
on just a
simple.
minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so, strategic and executive coaching lends you to work with, a lot of different industries and across the different industries.
Yes.
So what's a common opportunity for growth that you see most consistently throughout all of your clients that you worked with in the last 5 years?
Ooh, common opportunity for growth throughout all the clients. You're right. We're in the boardroom. We're, at the table across industry, which is so fascinating. I feel like I've gotten 7 MBAs on the go here. A common opportunity for growth. It might be because of the people that self-select in to work with us. So that is possible. But oftentimes what I see is there's amazing talent around the table. There's really good ideas. There's really good expertise, but they haven't yet figured out. It's like, what is that quote? Talent wins games, teamwork wins championships, right? They haven't yet quite figured out how to do that. So they're not leveraging each other. They're not working cross-functionally. The bigger the company, the more siloed the departments end up being. We ran an offsite, for example. This is a strategy implementation offsite with a company we work with that's 44,000 people. And one of the things that they realized in this process was there was people screaming for answers to questions and screaming for tools and solutions. And once you got them together in this cross-functional way, they had all the answers within their own company. They just didn't even know that they had them.
It's amazing.
And that's at scale, but it happens in executive teams of small, medium businesses like
Going
ours.
back to what we talked about earlier, that connection and collaboration thing, I just think there's something to that. I think that, I think that there is something to that in every organization. It's just you have to give the team the ability to connect and collaborate.
Yes.
Even if it's virtually, there has to be a way to connect and collaborate because that's the only way that good solutions are proposed and followed up on to challenges or problems. So you see it as like, are you saying that maybe most companies have growth opportunities right in front of their face?
Literally inside of your boardroom.
So that's the thing that you see the most is it's there.
It's right there.
And they think that they need to grow.
Yeah.
But of course, it's right there. You can grow.
It's like you're not optimizing what you already have, typically.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes you need to recruit or you need to buy a new company or you need to, there's other things absolutely that need to happen strategically or in terms of your sort of foundation that you have. But oftentimes the foundation is not optimally utilized.
How do you go about taking some of these medium to larger size companies you work with and reintroduce the concept of entrepreneurism into the corporate world? Because entrepreneurs are good connectors and collaborators.
Yeah. Entrepreneurship, we call it oftentimes. Yeah. So whenever we do that type of work with companies, one, we're very sensitive in our role. We're there to bring the best out of you. And so one is helping them get really clear. What are their values? What's their vision? What's their purpose? What do they...
Instead of you coming in and saying, this is what you need to do.
Yeah, you need to value innovation more. You need to value connection more. No. What do you value and how do your people live up to those values? And how are you creating systems that really honor those values and bring them out, right? So once we help them get clear on that, then it's about bringing it to life. And yes, oftentimes, especially in this modern world, it is about things that we would think of as entrepreneurial skill sets, whether it's a mindset or an actual skill set. Absolutely. So then figuring out, okay, well, how do you actually reward it? Let's imagine that we're going with innovation for a minute. How do you reward it the next time that somebody has an idea and it's a big idea and it flops? How do you, as a leadership team, figure out how to publicly reward that while also holding them accountable to the error in judgment, the insufficient data gathering, whatever it was that made the idea not work? Hold them accountable to what didn't work and applaud them for what did from a values perspective.
At least for trying.
Yeah.
Well, so I find what you do fascinating, and I think almost any company can benefit from having.
Can you say that again? For those in the back.
For those in the back. I think that any company can benefit from having somebody that comes just gets in there and tries to pull the best out of you.
Any company, any leader, to be honest.
But we get busy. Leaders get locked in. We get angry about something that's in a way, and we're just going to stamp it out of existence instead of trying to say, "Wait a minute, we've got all these great people. Wait a minute. I need to inspire to get the best out of them." Something that we forget. I think it's easy to forget as leaders.
And it takes more time and it takes more effort. So the way in which you go about those interactions, those meetings, those offsites, those really meaningful conversations with your team, it takes a slightly different type of focus and effort, because it can't just be about the to-do list. You talk about connection and collaboration beautifully.
Yeah.
The first word is connection. If there's not sufficient trust and understanding of what matters to each party, et cetera, the collaboration can happen for sure in a to-do list format. It's not going to happen in its ultimate capacity. And I'm speaking based on data. I'm speaking about Google did a study. This was years and years ago. It was a longitudinal study. What makes a team perform at its best? And they had all these hypotheses and who's the manager and how many degrees and how long has a team been together? None of that. The single biggest factor of what makes a team perform at its best was the degree of psychological safety on the team. Fancy speak for how much do we know and trust each other?
Yeah. Well, that's simple stuff. Oftentimes is the easiest answer.
It's simple. And as an extrovert, I'm like, it's the fun stuff, right?
Yeah, totally. Well, I like to end every one of my podcasts, Ilana, with asking the same question of my guests. What is one of the best and most worthwhile investments you've ever made?
Keystone Bank.
Oh, I set you up. That was part of the record. That was part of that's so good. I love that.
I stand by it.
Other than this wonderful thing called Keystone Bank.
I truly am a big fan of investing in our own development. I am my most valuable asset. So I'm going to bet on myself and I'm going to invest in myself. I would say the most valuable investment I've ever made is actually Center for Executive Coaching. Andrew Knightlick, I'm plugging you. That's where I got certified as an executive coach. And what I learned there, I would actually put it as even more valuable to the impact I'm able to have now than my entire master's degree in licensing in social work. I'm a licensed clinical social work as well. Sorry, social work people. But the Center for Executive Coaching, that investment was extremely valuable to me. When I take that as a theme, really do invest in ourselves. I'm the only one that's not going anywhere. The market's going to shift and, I'm going to make some investments out in the world that are going to do great and others that are going to flop. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So everything that we as people can do to invest in ourselves and our success, it generates if you're smart.
Very insightful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ilana, for coming on the show with us today.
You. Yeah, great to be here.
It's great to see you.
You too.
Appreciate all your support.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Thanks for joining Banking on Community from Austin, Texas. Today's episode gave you an aha moment. Would you let us know? We'd love to hear from you. You can come into one of our branches and share with us what you loved about today's conversation, or reach out to us on social media. Community banking is about solving problems, not just for customers, but for neighbors. If you know someone in our community that would benefit from this conversation, please share this podcast with them.